10-year-old Aiden lived in Elmwood City, a place where towering buildings stood side by side with narrow, twisting alleyways. On warm summer nights, the city hummed with cars, music, and laughter. But sometimes it also whispered secrets. One evening, as the city lights blinked on like stars, Aiden and his best friend Maya were riding their bikes home from the library. They took a shortcut through an alley behind the old Elmwood Theater, where the shadows seemed to dance under the flickering streetlights. He stopped and picked it up. It was a piece of paper, folded many times over. Curious, he unfolded it carefully. Aiden's bike rolled over something small and crinkly. Inside was a single, neatly typed sentence. "Meet me at the clock tower at midnight if you want the truth." Maya's eyes went wide. What do you think it means? Aiden's mind raced. The Elmwood clock tower had been abandoned for years. No one went there, especially not at midnight. That night, as Aiden lay in bed, he couldn't stop staring at the note on his desk. Midnight was only a few hours away. A horn honked in the distance, making them both jump. Aiden slipped the note into his pocket. "We have to go," he said quietly. "We have to find out what this is about." They rode home faster than ever, their hearts pounding with excitement and a tinge of fear. Aiden's alarm buzzed softly at 11:30 p.m., a flashlight in her hand and her backpack slung over one shoulder. She looked just as nervous and excited as Aiden felt. He slipped out of bed, heart beating so loudly he was sure it would wake his parents. He pulled on his hoodie, stuffed the mysterious note in his pocket, and climbed out his window onto the fire escape. Flashlights sweeping the dusty floor and cracked stone walls. The air smelled of rust and old rain. The massive clock face loomed overhead, its hands frozen at 3:15 since before they were born. The iron gates at the tower's base were slightly ajar. Maya was waiting at the corner. "Ready?" she whispered. Aiden nodded, and together they pedaled through the quiet streets of Elmwood. The city at night was different. Empty sidewalks, darkened shops, and the occasional stray cat slinking across their path. A faint shuffling noise echoed from the stairs spiraling up the tower. Aiden's breath caught in his throat. They climbed step by creaky step until they reached the clock chamber. They reached the old clock tower at 11:58 p.m. They squeezed through. Lying on the cold stone floor was an envelope. Written across it in the same typewriter font as the note were the words, "Suddenly there." Inside was a photograph of an old key, and below it, one sentence, "Clue 1. Maya picked it up with shaking hands. He turned to Maya. "I think it's the library. Find the place where stories sleep." Aiden's eyes widened. Aiden and Maya carefully descended the clock tower stairs, their flashlights dancing along the stone walls. When they stepped outside, the city was eerily silent. They hopped on their bikes and pedaled straight to the Elmwood Public Library. The library, with its towering columns and heavy wooden doors, looked more like a castle than a place for books. At midnight, behind shelves and under tables. Then Aiden remembered the giant globe in the children's section. He tapped on it. It sounded hollow. Kneeling beside it, he felt around the base until his fingers touched something cold and metal. It seemed even more mysterious. They hid their bikes in the bushes and approached the side door. To their surprise, the door wasn't locked. It creaked open when Aiden pushed it. Ornate key, exactly like the one in the photo. Hearts pounding, clutching the key. A shadow moved across the far wall, tall, slow, deliberate. Whoever it was, they were looking for something, or someone. Dust motes floated in the light, and every sound seemed magnified in the stillness. Inside, the library was dark except for moonlight filtering through the high windows. Rows of books stood like silent guardians. Maya held up the photograph of the key. "Where would a key like this be?" she whispered. They searched the front desk. He pulled out an old. Suddenly, the library's silence was broken by the faint sound of footsteps echoing through the halls. The kids froze, exchanging terrified looks. "Someone's here," Maya mouthed. They slipped behind a bookshelf. Aiden and Maya held their breath as the shadow slowly disappeared down a distant hallway. When the footsteps faded, they crept out from behind the bookshelf. "We need to get out of here," whispered Maya. "But what about this key?" Aiden looked at the key in his hand. Maybe it opened something important, something this person was looking for. They carefully made their way to the main entrance, but just as they reached the door, a voice called from the shadows. "Looking for clues, are we?" Startled, they turned to see a tall figure step forward, an older man with a kind but mysterious smile. "My name is Mr. Holloway," he said quietly, "and I've been waiting for you." Aiden and Maya stared at Mr. Holloway, unsure whether to trust him. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I know about the note, the clock tower, and the key, he said. Elmwood City holds many secrets, and you two have been chosen to uncover them. Maya swallowed nervously. Chosen by who? Mr. Holloway smiled mysteriously. Start with the oldest part of the city, the catacombs beneath Elmwood Park, by those who guard the city's hidden past. But you must be careful. Not everyone wants the truth to come out. He handed them a small leather-bound book. This will help you. Before they could ask more, Mr. Holloway disappeared into the shadows. The next afternoon, Aiden and Maya met at Elmwood Park. The old iron gate creaked as they pushed it open. The air was cool and damp, filled with the scent of earth and history. Beneath the gnarled trees lay a stone staircase leading down into darkness. The book's pages glowed faintly, guiding them through twisting tunnels. Armed with flashlights and the mysterious book, they descended into the catacombs. Inside, the walls were lined with faded carvings and strange symbols. Suddenly, they reached a chamber where the floor was covered with scattered bones. But at the center stood a locked chest. Do you think the key will work here? Aiden asked. Unrolling it, they saw a map of Elmwood City, marked with strange symbols and hidden locations. Maya nodded, holding up the ornate key. Only one way to find out. She slid the key into the lock. It turned with a satisfying click. Inside the chest was a dusty scroll sealed with a red wax stamp. This is bigger than we thought, Maya whispered. Over the next days, Aiden and Maya followed the map's clues, exploring forgotten corners of the city, an abandoned subway station, a hidden rooftop garden, and a locked clock in the town hall. Each place revealed a piece of Elmwood's secret history, stories of forgotten heroes, hidden treasures, and old promises. Shadows seemed to follow them, and mysterious notes appeared, warning them to stop. But the deeper they went, the more they felt watched. One evening, as they studied the map, Aiden noticed a new symbol glowing softly, a star marking the old Elmwood Theater. We have to go back there, he said. Something important is waiting. Returning to the Elmwood Theater, the kids found the place in eerie silence. The flickering streetlights cast long shadows across the cracked marquee. Inside, the dusty stage held a single wooden box. With shaking hands, Maya opened it to reveal an old diary. The diary belonged to a man named Victor Elmwood, the city's founder, who wrote about a secret society protecting Elmwood's mysteries. As they read, a hidden door creaked open behind the curtains. Looks like the real adventure is just beginning, Aiden said. The hidden door led them to a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. With flashlights in hand, they descended into a secret chamber filled with ancient artifacts and glowing symbols. As Aiden reached out, the crystal pulsed with light, revealing visions of Elmwood's past and future. At the room's center was a pedestal holding a glowing crystal. Suddenly, a voice echoed, "You have the power to protect the city's secrets or let them fall into darkness." Maya looked at Aiden. What do we do now? Aiden took a deep breath. We protect it. We'll keep the city's secrets safe together. With that, the crystal's light surrounded them, filling them with warmth and courage. Back above ground, Elmwood City seemed brighter, alive with possibilities. Aiden and Maya knew their lives had changed forever. They were no longer just kids on bikes, they were the city's new guardians. And as the city whispered its secrets, the two friends smiled, ready for whatever mysteries awaited next.